Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFLW Fantasy Fanatics Round 7 pre-lockout chat. We are recording live on Tuesday, the 8th of October, ahead of the final double game week. I'm running a tiny bit late because there was an accident on the highway. Obviously moved house, new sort of directions. But anyway, we're here for the people watching live. But the people listening on replay, we're not late because you just be listening back to it. But I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BalesDT across the socials. If you've got any questions or players you'd like discussed ahead of the last double game week, put them in the live chat on YouTube, and we'll answer as many of those throughout the show. But joining me, as always, is my co-host and fellow AFLW Fantasy Fanatic, is Jaiden Poski. Jaiden, mate, how are you?
Hey, Bale's going well, and doesn't sound like a great situation over there, but yeah, glad you made it.
Oh yeah, bloody because obviously moved house, new highway and stuff that I've got to take, and then I get on the highway thing. Oh yeah, I've still got an hour. Takes about half an hour to get home, and then it says collision ahead. Take this exit. So I'm like, I'll take this exit. Had no idea where I was going. Had to use Google Maps on the fly, but we got there in the end. So, but joining us is a special guest. He's obviously jumped on a number of times, and we appreciate every time he comes on. It is Liam from the Free Kick Official AFLW Fantasy Podcast. Liam, mate, how are you?
I am very good, very keen for these double game rounds to be in the review mirror, done and dusted.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, this is the final ever double game week that we have to ever talk about for AFLW Fantasy. Exactly. But I think we got to start off with obviously one key point that I think people, Jaiden obviously is in this boat, and a few coaches are in this boat, is if you don't have Ebony Marinov, Liam, is it a case of break team and make sure you get Marinov in?
Yes. It is
there you go.
An inevitability. And even if she were to be someone that misses out, like for whatever reason she gets rested, like she comes back and she's still a 150 averaging player at the moment. So you just got to run the risk.
Yep. Yeah, exactly right. I'm just seeing in our chat as well that so Sam's put the super chat in here saying Tani Evans is a late out for tonight with Gemma Ramsdale coming in. So Gemma Ramsdale, Liam, is there do you know much about her? I don't know. Has she played before? Is this her debut?
No, this is her debut. She was a very late replacement player. So haven't got a whole lot on her. I had seen that about 30 seconds ago and had been trying to see what I could scrounge together. I think she might have played some VFLW, so I'll just pull up her stats.
Yep. But obviously for anyone that was worried, Michaela Pounger has been named on field as well. So a few people saying she's named on the bench, but she's been named on a half-forward flank, which is good. So hopefully she will go well tonight and score more than the 4 points that we got from her in the last game that we saw her there. Liam, have you found it now, or do you want me to go over to Jaiden?
Yeah, no, I've got them.
Cool.
So she's played 14 games in the VFLW. All bar one of them was this past season, where she averaged just a hair over 42 points per game, playing for Collingwood. From what I can read, she's a medium defender. So I have no idea what role she's going to play and what this is going to do to GWS's team. To be honest, I would not be shocked if she's a very low time on ground player.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But actually, well, I'll quickly check because it is 20 past 6 in Melbourne. So we'll get the teams for the Crows and Melbourne game. So Crows made 3 changes. Taylor Levy, Rochelle Martin, and Lily Tarlington making her debut for the Crows are the ins. Tia Charlton is out injured. That could have some ramifications in terms of Anne Hatchard and potentially Chelsea Randall. A bit more midfield time there. Hannah Munyard's out injured and Abby Ballard's out injured. Thankfully, it's not. I don't think it's too bad for the injury compared to obviously what she did last year. And then for Melbourne, Eliza McNamara comes in and Delaney Madigan has been dropped. So Eliza McNamara was someone a few coaches were contemplating there, who's been quite good over the first few rounds. We'll go back to the point of Marinov, Jaiden. So we'll sort of lead this into your trade plans. Obviously, felt like we only chatted about 5 minutes ago about our trades and stuff, and we're recording on the Tuesday. What are your plans for Marinov? Obviously, bringing in, you had a bit of an idea, but with lockout lifting, playing around with a few things, what trades have you settled on ahead of the final double game week?
Yeah, I have the Huntington issue as well. So well done to her. She averaged about 35 in my team. So that was a disaster. And so it's not that different because I was going to trade Tripodi, so I practically just need 100k more out of that. At the moment, I'm going Rowbottom and Gardner to Marinov and Hatchard, and then to fund the Marinov upgrade, I'm going Huntington all the way down to Darcy Guttridge. And I'll play at F6 and try and get a loopable score tonight for Friswell or Tripodi or something like that, as long as Ella K. Smith does not get named.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you never know if Ella Smith's going to be named or not in and out of the team for Gold Coast. So unfortunately for us to own her, they want a bit of cash in. But hopefully, if you're using a loop, she doesn't come into the side. Liam, obviously, you don't have to worry about the Marinov issue because you've got it, and so do I. But what are you looking at doing? Obviously, a couple of options in the midfield and up forward that I know you're chatting about on the pod. What are you looking at doing with your trades ahead of round 7?
Yeah, I am going to be trading out Mattia Breed to Zali Goldsworthy, going Ariana Hetherington down to Tanisha Kikowak, and then Ruby Slisher up to Maeve Chaplin.
Yeah, beautiful. No, I love it. But you said Ariana Hetherington. I thought she had a different last name.
Goderington. Ariana Goderington. Sorry, I forgot. It's a very recent name change.
Yeah, no, I love that. I got a bit of a giggle from the pod, but no, she was very, very good there. And then my trades, I really want Elise Parker from my trades, but the trades work better with Goldsworthy. So I'm going Sinead Goody up to Zali Goldsworthy. To do that, I'm going Jazz Garner down to Anne Hatchard, banking a little bit of cash there. And then also going Ruby Tripodi over to Caitlin Gould as well. So trying to get a couple of those double game week players there. How many double game weeks players, guys, do we have playing this week? Jaiden, I'll start with you. How many have you got playing this week? Or Liam, if you've got it first, if someone's got to tally up.
I think it's 7. I think it's 7 for me, but I'm looping one of them. So I'll just double check that though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so 6 on field and 1 with a loop.
Yeah, beautiful. Liam?
I've got 8. So I've got Sheeran, Watson, Chaplin, Marinov, Goldsworthy, O'Dowd, Hoare, and Pounger.
Yeah, wait, Sheeran?
Not Sheeran, sorry. Goldrick. They're sitting next to each other in my team.
No, mate, it's all good. I've got the 8 as well. So I have got Goldrick, Marinov, Hatchard, Goldsworthy, O'Dowd, Kate Hoare, Caitlin Gould, and Michaela Pounger. So I've got Lily Pearce currently on the field at the moment with the captaincy on her, just putting the VC on Marinov, just in case, just to be a bit safe there. Well, actually, Liam, in saying that, would obviously captains this week, it's pretty obvious Marinov's at the top right. Is there any point of looping someone tonight, Goldsworthy, Parker, anyone like that? Or if you're going to do a VC just to sort of hedge your bets, would you just VC Marinov expecting to take a score? And if some bad thing happened, then you can pivot after that?
Only if you've got the guaranteed red dot. Otherwise, don't run the risk of being forced to pick someone, even if Marinov is absolutely fine. So I think that's the play. Yeah.
So I've got Lily Pearce there, so I know in fact she won't be playing, but maybe Ella Smith, probably not the one.
Do not risk Ella Smith in no way, shape, or form.
Yeah, exactly right. Tim Ashworth's got a super chat for us, so thanks, mate. He said, what rookies in the forward line should I get? So, Liam, I'll go to you for this one. Is there any forward rookies you'd recommend? The one I probably looked at's got a double is Rochelle Martin. Obviously, I'm not expecting a huge amount of points, but 319k, I believe, with a double. I'd expect her to play both. She sort of got dropped, but I still think she's in the best 18 for the Crows. Do you think she could be a player? Any others?
Yeah, I think I prefer, like, if you can get up there, she's just a hair below 400k, and that's Alicia Pisano. He's probably the one forward rookie I like the most. Martin is possible. Jaiden and I have been talking about Darcy Guttridge. You're kind of just hoping for a pop score there. And then kind of at the 300k level, like bargain basement, the options are real bad. I think the only two that I'd be looking at for forwards, and I say looking at, I mean, this is if you're breaking your team to get Marinov, it's Megan Gaffney and Ella Friend, neither of whom I expect to score very well. But if you need players that are likely to play on the double game week, like those are your options.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Sano's the one I forgot about. Yeah, because he's a little bit more expensive. But yeah, I don't mind that play there at all. So we'll go through some excuse me, sorry. We'll go through some questions. So if you're tuning in live and would like a question answered before lockout, or the first lockout, then get your question. We'll answer as many of those. So we'll go to Joe for the first question. So Jaiden asking, how confident are you that Chelsea Randall sees both games this week? So what are your thoughts on Chelsea Randall as an option, and do you think she plays both?
I'm fairly confident that she'll play both, but yeah, I'm personally haven't considered getting her at all. Mainly down, like, that is a risk, but also I think like she's pretty expensive for like a forward, and like I don't really want to pay up that much. There, let me just find. So she's like 931, and also coming off a lower score, she's probably going to lose a fair bit of money. So she's break even of 8, so she needs to go 80 in both games to keep her price. And she's only done that twice so far this year. The matchups are very good though. So I think if you have her, then back her into play. But I'm personally not trading her in for the price that she's at.
Yeah, I'm slightly worried about the second game, the Giants game. I think she's been known to play tomorrow night. I expect her to play, just being the away game on the Sunday. That's the only sort of question mark I have. For Liam, your thoughts on Randall this week?
I think we've seen so far that if players are going to be not named because they're being rested, it's the first game that they'll get. I think they're more likely to get rested for, because it means then that they're just playing a normal cadence of games. I think that, Chelsea Randall is a player prone to getting injured just by the way that she plays. It's a margin above other players. So I think that it just increases the if she does end up sore from Wednesday night's game, then maybe the risk that she's rested for the next one because she can't get up because of that, because of the short time frame, it's possible. But I just don't having now seen that she's named for the first game, the risk of her being rested is much lower than if you'd asked me independent, just straight up, what's the risk of her not playing the first game? So I think you're fine on that front. It's probably not going to be the reason to dissuade me from picking her.
Yeah. Maybe she's a player like we've seen with Jazz Garner and Ali Anderson, probably the two ones I think of, where if they're up by a decent amount either tomorrow night or on Sunday, last quarter, maybe you see a bit of a rest on the bench, because we saw, I think last year, I believe the Crows had a home game, and both Anne Hatchard, I think it was against the Bulldogs last year actually, Anne Hatchard and Chelsea Randall pretty much set off the most of the last quarter. So we might see that again. But yeah, we'll definitely see how that goes. We've got super chat from Corey Blackledge. So thanks, mate. He says, which option is better? So Jane, I'll go to you for this one. He says, Rowbottom, Prasparkas and Huntington to Hatchard, Goldsworthy and Caitlin Gould with Goody at M5 for the week. Or would you be going Matea Breed to Bradfield, Goody to Goldsworthy and Huntington to Gould with Prasparkas at M5?
Prasparkas is actually quite important.
I reckon it's.
I'm assuming Matt. I'm assuming. I think it's. Actually, I think it's George. Actually, I think he sent me a question on Q. I'm pretty sure it's Georgie.
Yeah. I kind of like the first one, because I think you're kind of getting better ins. I feel like the second one, I mean, it's hard because this one's a bit different with owning Marinov. You just automatically have your captain sorted, so you don't really need to worry about that. I'm trading out Rowbottom because I think she's probably on the way down in price against Brisbane this week. So I don't mind that one. I'm just trying to figure out the other differences.
The difference really being you obviously getting Hatchard for Robomb, so you're doing the Uber premium down a tiny bit. You're doing the sideways switch from Goldsworthy, Prespars to Goldsworthy, and then Huntington to Gould. Instead of that, the second option is you're just doing a rookie shuffle, sort of Bradfield from Breed down to Bradfield, and then you're doing Goldsworthy, and then Huntington to Gould is in both. So yeah, it pretty much comes down to Rowbottom and Prasparkas to Hatchard and Goldsworthy, or Breed and Goody to Goldsworthy Huntington. I think Breed's got to go though. That's the other thing that with the first option. I think Breed's,
but she's probably got to go this week. Although, like that being said, she's scored in the last couple of games as well as G-Prez. It's just the injury risk and having to sew up your trades now. Look, I don't know if I don't love trading at Rowbottom, because I do think that having seen the way that she's playing at the moment, she definitely is going to benefit from a more stoppage-heavy game. And I don't think Brisbane are going to put attention into her with the way that she's kind of been a bit up and down in the recent weeks. But the trade-ins are better.
Well, I got a question on Q, which I did promise the person that asked the question that I'd sort of we'll chat about this, is that they were saying who goes out in my trades, because they're looking to go Hatchard, then I think it was a Goody up as well. So similar to my trades and going Goody up to a Goldsworthy. And they were saying Conti, Rowbottom and Gardner, which of the three? And I'll add Jazz Garner in there as well. Liam, how would you order it in terms of who would you be trading out of those sort of three players? And then if you'd add Garner in, who would you be trading out of the four?
So Conti, Rowbottom,
Gardner, and then add Garner as well.
Gardner and Garner. Yeah. Yeah, that is tough.
I've gone Garner out. I've gone Garner at first just because I think Sydney this week, I expect Tanya Kennedy to go to. I don't expect it to slow Garner down a great deal, but sort of just splitting sort of hairs with that. Maybe she gets some attention, whereas the others probably are less likely to, or maybe not as affected by it.
Yeah, she does have the kind of best average so far this season, and she's definitely played through tags in the past. Yeah, and it's just like, if you're trading out Garner, are you realistically going to be bringing her back in for the rest of the season? Like, I think
because you got
the Bombers after that, then Adelaide, then Gold Coast.
Yeah, I don't love the next three. Gold Coast is fine last round. Maybe if Whitford's back, maybe Single does some tag. But
yeah, Sydney. Gold Coast still decided to tag with Elise Barwick against Maddie Prasparkas, which limited her ceiling a little bit. I think Conti's probably the only one that I wouldn't trade out of them at the moment, just given the next couple of games that she's got. I guess you could argue that Gardner's probably not got the ceiling at the moment. She's not really putting together those massive scores. Maybe that's the kind of the path you go down. Although I do think that her scoring is probably going to be better than Hatchard for the rest of the year. At the very least, I don't know if Gardner's going to get away from you if you want to trade her back in.
Yeah. Would that be a case there if you, instead of trading a Gardner or a Conti, whoever it is, to a Hatchard, is it maybe better to go someone that we've been really happy with this year and thought we might keep her, but maybe a Ruby Tripodi? Is it maybe where you go her to a Caitlin Gould or someone on the double in the forward line this week and keep that midfielder, because then you're going to keep them throughout the rest of the year, whereas Hatchard was sort of playing a bit more forward. Maybe she's not in the top five mids. So is that maybe a better play?
Yeah, I definitely think you can make that play. Like, I think Gould this week is probably one of the few options that I'd be happy doing it with. Obviously, if we can't make it work at the moment with Randall. She's too expensive.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the reason, like, I've got Breed at M5, which is why I'm trading up. I'm not cash grabbing. Like, it's disappointing that she got injured, but I need to try and have a complete premium midfield, and I think Zali's the cheapest of the bunch.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'd been reticent to do too many sideways or downgrades in the midfield. So I'd almost probably lean towards Tripodi to Gould.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with that as well. Got another couple of super chats here, actually. So Sam's got the first one. Thanks, mate. So Jaiden, he says, Richards, Pisano or Guttridge to bring in. And he said also Rowbottom, Gardner or Conti up Hatchard. So obviously we're just actually chatting about that. So there you go, Sam. You just got that there. But yeah, Richards, Pisano or Guttridge. Are you going down to basement and going for a Guttridge, or are you paying up a bit for a Pisano? Or Richards?
Yeah, I wouldn't go Richards because she's just like mid 500s or so.
Expensive, yeah.
Yeah, and I just believe a lot more in just if you're not confident enough that they'll outscore the other two. Like if you're asking this question, then just don't spend 200k more than what you need to. Liam's on the Pisano train. Unfortunately, I'm 1k short, which has been the story of my week. Every single combo has been 1k short. So I'm going Guttridge, but yeah, based on Liam's advice, I would go Pisano, and Liam helped me to get Chloe Adams last week, so I'll believe what he's saying.
I appreciate the props when I listened back to the podcast from Sunday. Like Chloe Adams, excellent footballer, and I think Pisano is a bit the same. Gun midfielder / forward for Pisano, at least as a junior. Beautiful left foot kick.
Keep the great goal on the weekend, yeah.
Had that awesome goal, but I think that's just more indicative of the class of footballer that she is. Like, still can put up a sneaky score. Like, there's nothing to say that she won't. But I've seen, having now watched her both in person and then pretty intently when Melbourne played Essendon, I'm pretty confident that she's a decent enough footballer, and you might just get 240s this week.
Yeah. And we've got another super chat here from Bailey Lolacidis. He's saying 400k and below defender options. Currently bringing in Burke as the best I could find on double game week. So, Liam, any thoughts on any defender options that you could be looking at? Would you go a double game week, or would you even maybe look at maybe this is Bailey, maybe he's trying to bring in Marinov, so maybe that's why he's looking at 400k, but who would be your favourite under that price?
Yep, that's a great question. Defenders and forwards are not exactly spectacular this week, but I'm trying to remember who I wrote about in my article.
And you can go read that as well on afl.com.au as well.
Yes. So the best option, I think, below 400k on their double was Denby Taylor. But there's not a particularly spectacular group of options. I think Taylor's had the highest score so far, but she's 383k. So she's put up 3 scores in the 30s in a row. So yeah, it's fine.
You're hoping for a 60 set or 60 or more, and if you get that, you take it and run, especially if you're getting Marinov as well. So there you go. That would be the option. We'll go through some more questions here. We chatted about that from Darcy King's question before about the potential resting and stuff like that, and if they were going to rest, it'd be the first one. Henry V, do we think Pounger will play both games? Jaiden, do you think Pounger will play both games?
Yeah, I'm backing her in at F5. I've got Guttridge on the bench. I could swap them around, but I'm just going for Pounger. I think we're pretty keen on her in pre-season, so hopefully a few weeks off, she's ready to go.
Yeah, I've got to finish she put up a pretty good score tonight. Coming back, you could add, and I know Liam, you guys made the point on the pod as well on Mondays that the tackle on Montana you could see it affect her a bit. I'm hoping that a couple of weeks out, fire burning comes in and has a good game, lays a fair few tackles and gets on the board early. That'd be nice. This is a good question. I don't know how to pronounce the name though. Zio To, I'm going to go with. Apologies if I butchered that. They're saying, hi guys, Randall was a keep for the rest of the season, or go Caitlin Gould for the value to save cash to complete the rest of the team. Thanks. So Liam, is that a case we'd be going for Caitlin Gould for the value to complete the rest of your team, or would you be going the more expensive Chelsea Randall?
It does just come down to what you actually need to fix up in the rest of your team and how many rookies you might otherwise be fielding, or kind of holdovers from sideways trades or failed trades during the double game weeks. If you don't have too many, then you have the cash for Randall. I think Randall is most likely comfortably to be in top 3 forwards for the rest of the season. But if you are in a position where you know you've got a rookie at M5, D5, F5, or if you know you're going to want to upgrade Ailish O'Dowd once we come out of this week, then I'd go Gould and bank the cash.
Yeah. Apologies that my phone slipping out of my hand there. What do we got here? A few people asking about Bianca Jacobson. So Jack saying Jacobson or Trudgeon for 140k less. Jaiden, either of those girls being options for you that you've looked at?
Definitely not. I haven't thought about them at all, but I think that, I would probably just go the cheaper one in Trudgeon. It is difficult because Jacobson has been a fairly decent player over the last few seasons in terms of fantasy. Not so much last year, but I would probably just go the cheaper one if you're not entirely sure about which one. Probably just go the cheaper one because, you're probably not convinced on either of them. Just trying to say what's changed in their scoring a bit because they've both improved. I suppose Serene Watson's also improved. Yeah. So
chipping around kind of out of kick-ins. Jacobson and Trudgeon were both just getting that little pocket kick from Serene Watson, and it's also why Watson wasn't getting all of her points from kick-ins because it definitely seems like the directive was if you see it open, you just go. Don't walk out of the square. Just kick it straight away and get it moving quickly.
I was just about to say, there's a lot of times I was actually sitting in the pocket, plenty of times see Serene Watson not playing on, and I'm just like, what's going on? You got to play on. Come on, we need the points.
I think it makes the case that I don't know why it is that kick isn't counted in the stats unless you walk out of the square.
I think just should be counted regardless.
Why do you get the kick if you take the ball from a lasso?
Yeah, it's a good point actually. Yeah, I think it should just be counted as a stat anyway, and we don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I like this one. Lara at 177. Newman or Goldrick? Who are they bringing in this week, Liam? Who would you be going? Actually, I'll get both your thoughts actually. Liam, who would you be getting?
I'd be leaning towards Goldrick, just because she is that bit cheaper. It's not a huge amount, but I also just think that she's the more consistent player this year. She's had one game below 70. And if we're and to be honest, I felt like she could have got more. She was there or thereabouts a bunch of times. Newman has the better matchups though. But it's, putting up a 58 and a 66 and a 53 at points this year. But she's also accumulated the most. She's had the most scores over 100 for any defender. I'd be leaning towards Goldrick this week, though, just for that consistency. Most likely to give me 150 points by the end of the week.
Yeah, I think I agree as well. As much as I like Maddie Newman, obviously being a Crowie, but I think I'm Goldrick as well. Jaiden, you Goldrick as well?
Yeah, I said this on Sunday. I just don't really love paying $1 million for Newman when she doesn't take kick-ins. She doesn't go into the middle. Well, she might, but they've been throwing it around. But
funnily enough, she's actually been named in the midfield on the team sheet.
And she's
I will say with Newman though, she does have one of the freest roles that I think I've seen from really many players whatsoever. She is notionally a defender only, and really just has a flank up and back to herself. If she spends extra time forward, she's up at forward 50 stoppages. She's dropping back, kind of getting to that half back spot to take a mark, laying tackles at, throw-ins. I would struggle to give her a position more than almost any other player that we talk about as being fantasy relevant. She's just kind of everywhere.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. But even on Friday night, Thursday? Yeah, Friday night. Yeah. Watching that game, she was up for she was in the forward line, back in defence, on the wing, in the midfield. She's everywhere. So, yeah, no, she's everywhere. But yeah, Goldrick, Newman a good option as well. But we'd be going Goldrick. This is a question that I'll pose because I've thought about this, but I know a few people are thinking about this as well. In the combinations of trades, I'm obviously going Goldsworthy and Gould, but people might ask. I've seen Gone Mad saying Miss Gould by 54k, so going Garnett or a Ponta. Would we be going a Gould, the better forward option, and going Goldsworthy, who is a good option, or would we be going a Elise Parker, Jamie Lambert, if you can get up there, even a Ty Smith, and then maybe going for the Garnett or Danielle Ponta, Jaiden? Which sort of where would you be leaning for the people considering those combos?
I feel safer with the Goldsworthy combo because I don't think there's heaps of a gap between Goldsworthy and those other mids around the price, and Goldsworthy's like 100k cheaper than them. So I kind of prefer that, I think, because I think realistically you can hold Gould for the rest of the year. The Crows have the best forward over the next 3 games. They have the best fixture for forward, so you could trade out after Collingwood next week. But I kind of just like Goldsworthy for her price. It's kind of similar to what Georgie Prasparkas was last week. Obviously, that didn't work out, but I think like with that value, it just makes sense.
He's got the ceiling as well. We know that obviously we've seen last year and in games that she can go massive. Plus as well with the option of like a Parker /Smith /Lambert and then a Garnett, whatever. I guess that you probably don't know if you're going to keep either. Whereas Gould, at least you know you can probably keep. Liam, are you in agreement with that as well? Goldsworthy and Gould would be the combo you'd be going with out of them.
Yeah, I do think there's a case to be made for going Bedell as a far cheaper option, given she also has that same great run and has had, won the biggest score of any forward that we're currently discussing so far this year. It is kind of predicated on her kicking goals, which she hasn't been doing nearly as much of recently. And she also had a bit of a dip in her CDAs against St Kilda. I think, though, that I think the more equal comparison is like a Hatchard and Bedell or Gould and Goldsworthy.
Yeah. Do you mean Ponta?
Sorry. I keep saying Bedell. Ponta. I said Bedell that many times. Of course, I've got the list of defenders up from earlier, and I'm looking at Chelsea Bedell's name right now. Danielle Ponta. I think those are fairly equal comparisons because I think you're probably far more comfortable saying we're going to keep Hatchard at least for a couple of weeks, and then Ponta's a bit of a throw up the stumps. I think I'd almost lean slightly towards the latter with Ponta and Hatchard, but only marginally.
Yeah, agreed. Especially if it's Hatchard as well. I think it's the other options. Probably, you probably go the second one. Ben Hayes, actually, and I'll go back to Liam for this one because I know you guys mentioned this. Grace Kelly, what are thoughts on her as an option? Doesn't want to part for Newman. Already got Charlie Thomas, Daisy Darcy, Sinead Goldrick, and Serene Watson. So thoughts on Grace Kelly as an option on her double?
Yeah, I think you can absolutely do it. She's had a great last couple of weeks. Has definitely had a decent role. It's just, I just need to actually have a look at what the St Kilda run is for defenders. I think the problem is the game tonight isn't spectacular. And it's partially why I'm leaning towards Chaplin as my target at 800k, so just a smidgen cheaper. But I'm not going to, bang my fist on the table and say, no, you can't trade her in. I still think she's a good player. And if you're angling for 130, 135 points, I'd be comfortable saying she'll get that this week.
Yeah. Gone Mad. Hatchard has had 124 against both GWS and Melbourne. Well, hopefully we can get a couple of those again. Yeah,
in a
exactly.
different role.
Maybe in the game tomorrow night, though, with Tia Charlton being out, maybe there's that little bump tomorrow night. So hopefully she goes big tomorrow night, and then you're sort of not as reliant in the second game. And if she just goes big, it's a bonus in the second game. What do we got here? Alex Morrison, Jaiden. Which two are you fielding out of Tripodi, Pounga, and Pisano?
I'd give the first slot to Pisano, and ideally you're looping like me, but I'd probably just give Pounga a go. Like, it is hard because Tripodi has turned up this year, but I kind of feel like this after last week. I didn't really ever consider playing rookies on field last week. And if Ella K. Smith played another game, then it would have cost me points. Well, it did cost me points anyway. But if she played another game, it would have cost me even more. So, like, and even like it's hard because you probably aren't considering it now. But I do think you could just have a crack at it because I kind of didn't last week, and I felt a little bit silly for it. Like, if you're thinking of someone getting 240s or 235s, that might be enough.
Yeah, because you obviously worst case, Tripodi goes 100, and you get Pounga or Pisano, whichever one you're sort of tossing up of playing or not. Let's say they go two lots of 30 and they get 60. You're only losing 40 points. Whereas if Tripodi scores what she did last week, and then as you said, you get and they play both and they score 70 combined, you're gaining points. So part of me does probably want to back in the two. But as you said, ideally you can loop Pounga tonight and see what she does and then make that choice after the game. Logan, field Ransom or Shanae Goody, Liam?
Geez, I haven't actually looked at what Claire Ransom has scored recently.
I think she scored 44 last week, if I'm not mistaken, or somewhere.
Yep, fresh off a 19 and a 20. I doubt she's going to get deployed. Well, actually, yeah, I haven't actually looked. Jaiden, you might have these numbers more to hand. I haven't actually looked at GWS's CBAs for the week because she did have a bit of a pop last week with her score, but had kind of been tagging or not spending that much time on the ground. So, yeah, she was up to 38% CBAs. Was there anyone missing? Interesting. She basically completely replaced Caitlin Sahoy's minutes in the midfield, which I think is an interesting choice. Then Goody against Collingwood.
Is it a bit similar to what we were talking about with Tripodi? You might back in the player that's playing two games.
Yeah, I think you do. I'm just trying to figure out if I think that Goody is capable of a pop score. And, she obviously had CBAs and had a really great first quarter against West Coast. Collingwood are one of the easiest teams to score against. But the game against Port Adelaide, they were without both Lamb and Sign. I think
Goody was tagging Roberts as well from after quarter time after Roberts went absolutely mental in that first quarter and tore the game apart. So
had that 60 point quarter. I think you do chance your arm with Ransom, and maybe see if you can watch a bit of the pre-game, see if you can see any of Ransom lining up with the midfield, or if she's starting on the bench, that might help you make a call on what role she might have. But yeah, I think at this stage, the times we've had these chats about who do you field out of rookie or, middling on-field player, the rookie has more often than not been the better choice. I was like Jaiden, I, had Ella K, didn't field her. And then I also had Caitlin Thorne, who outscored Ruby Slasher.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when they got two games, they got that double crack, and if they can just pop even a 50 or 60 out, then you're already ahead of the game there. Corey Badge was just saying with his options before, so obviously we're chatting about you doing Robon, the hat chart, and that sort of whole thing. He said if he did the second option, which was Breed to Bradfield, Goody to Goldsworthy, and Huntington to Gould having Prasparkas at M5, it means that he would have a completed team next week, and he would potentially be able to look at going an O'Dowd up to a Mim Strom or a Lucy Wales. So in saying that, Liam, is that where you'd maybe lean to the second option and keep Rowbottom and Miss Hatchard this week?
Yeah, okay. Like, I think that's pretty sound analysis. He's probably got a decent sense of what his team looks like. And I would also, ward you off thinking that G-Prez, in her current state of fitness, is a completed team's midfielder.
Yeah.
She looks gassed.
Yeah, exactly. Going to be cheap next year, though, so definitely one to pencil in because everyone knows me. I'm already planning for next year if I can't get a hat. We got super chat from Sam. Best defender on double game week this week. I've already got Goldrick. So, Jaiden, obviously we've talked about Maddie Newman, but she's expensive. Obviously, Maeve Chaplin is about 800k. Serene Watson is in the 800s as well. You got a couple of like a Grace Kelly's under 800k. Where would you be going? You just going Maddie Newman because you just expect to keep for the rest of the year, or maybe saving a bit of cash and getting someone on a double that you think can have a couple of good scores?
Yeah, I think just off the fixtures alone, I think Chaplin is a great option. Like St Kilda and Adelaide have to play GWS, so that's a bad matchup there. But Melbourne played them last week, and she did well. So I'm kind of, if I was looking at someone, I'd probably go for her, just because the matchup against St Kilda is pretty good, and overall has the best run of any of those teams for the rest of the year also.
Yeah, I do like the Chaplin option as well. And if I had the extra trade, heads to Chaplin would be something I'd potentially be considering there. Hopefully, Sydney play her in her normal position in defence this week, even though North is a very tough matchup regardless. We'll go a couple, just two more here, and then we'll finish up. Obviously, we will let people go, give 10, 15 minutes for people to check their teams and everything. And it's all looking good. So Jack's got two combos. So he's saying Smith or Lambert, but he's also saying Smith or Goldsworthy. So I'm assuming that's obviously Ty Smith. So Ty Smith, Lambert, and Goldsworthy. Jaiden, who would you be picking out of those three?
Yeah, I was talking before about those other options that had Lambert in it. But yeah, if you don't have Hatchard, she's cheaper or the same price as Lambert, actually. So if you don't have her, she's the most traded in player this week. About 1,300 people have traded her in. So you've got a bit of safety if you go there. If you do have her already, then I'd probably, I've really only considered Goldsworthy of those. But then again, the other two are more midfield than Goldsworthy is. They actually are really the only midfielders that St Kilda have been using a lot all year.
Particularly with Vesely out tonight, resting.
Wow, yeah, true, because she's third in line. So I've really only considered Goldsworthy. I think that's probably down to the name, but I don't think Ty Smith. I don't really think T Smith is coming off a massive score like that. Yeah, she's already made a lot of money off that. So she's had 60s before that. So I just don't know on her.
Yeah,
I think T Smith, how good she looked against Adelaide. It's kind of what I've been waiting for her to be able to do. She has quarters, halves, where she's able to score that well, put together the tackles and the disposals, and just had the perfect combo against Adelaide. I'm just having a quick look at break evens. So Goldsworthy is 67. Tiana Smith is 64. So I think you'd be... Look, I think I would say, thinking about as well matchups. Matchup tonight's a good one for Tiana Smith, or middling. And then St Kilda have who the week after? They've got...
So St Kilda got two really good matchups after that. So St Kilda have got Port Adelaide, and then they've got the Bulldogs.
Yeah,
They got
I
Brisbane
think
in the
T.
final week,
Smith-
which you could trade out then. And
Yeah.
then Goldsworthy, just while we're on top, has got Hawthorn the week after, then has got Fremantle, and then finishes off with Port Adelaide.
So, just in terms of thinking about this week, like Adelaide is going to be probably a far harder matchup for Goldsworthy than GWS and Melbourne will be for Tiana Smith. You're probably saying that there's a 50-50 shot that player is still in your midfield at M5 in 2 weeks. Go towards a player with a marginally better run and a lower break even.
Yeah, I agree with that. I didn't know on Smith, and that's kind of convinced me. Do I go her over Hatchard now? Is the question.
Yeah.
Like Hatchard's the player who has a better chance of being your M5. I think that's the play. Like, it's a better name. She's had better ceiling scores for far, far longer. But I think if you're shopping in that $1 million territory, I really like T. Smith. I really like Goldsworthy. I cannot afford T. Smith, so I don't have the choice with the trades that I'm making.
Yeah, and I'm the same boat. Like doing the trades, I'm getting Gould in. I'm sort of getting Goldsworthy, and I can't get up to T. Smith. But yeah, I think I'm bringing T. Smith in Bolter though at this stage. So I did like the run. So that's where I'm leaning there. Final thing I'll just end off with: is there any targets that people could target that aren't on their double, or are we looking purely at players on the double? Because looking to feel like you got like an Isla Sheeran who's looking really good. Gemma Houghton, who I brought in a couple of weeks ago, still fairly cheap. Obviously, he's been in pretty good form. He's got a good run for the rest of the year. And even like a Jack DePie put up a couple of 70s last week, and she's still, I think, in the 600s. And there's a few other options as well. But is there any point looking at these players, or are these players that we're probably going to be looking at starting from next week for the final few weeks?
Like, I think you can. I don't know if I love looking at some of I think the forwards, like we've seen now that trying to predict who's going to be super top of their line has been extremely difficult. People traded in Izzy Huntington kind of potentially in advance of her being, we've already got her for this week and she just had that 90. It's been very difficult to think too far ahead. So for forwards, ideally you're just trading for Chelsea Randall because she's the one I think is most likely to be top 5. For defenders, there are some decent runs upcoming in defence. So, it's unfortunate that Gab Pound just came off such a bad score, but I still think that if you wanted to trade for a defender, she's someone who's got a positive matchup every single game for the last month of the season. So you can make a case for it. It's just, how little can you get to any of your any of the players that you like, at this round? Because I think that there are options on every level, kind of at most price points.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you mentioned Gab Pound. I'm actually looking at doing that switch of Ella Heads to Gab Pound potentially next week. So hopefully we can get that done. But we'll cut it there. Again, apologies for it being obviously shorter one for listening live there. Obviously, as I said, traffic stuff, but we got there in the end there. But if you're listening on the pod, it might be good being a shorter, quick fire one there. But for the people that missed it earlier, Liam, what are your trades and your captain this week?
So trades are Slashdittish Chaplin, Bree to Goldsworthy, and Ariana Goterington to Tanisha Kikowak. And then I'm going Goldsworthy VC into Marinov C.
Yeah, beautiful. No, I like it. Jaiden, what are you doing?
I'm getting Marinov and Hatchard sideways from Rowbottom and Gardner. To afford Marinov, I'm going Huntington down to Guttridge, who's getting a loop. And who's my captain? I think Emma O'Driscoll is my captain this week. So hopefully she goes all right. Obviously Marinov.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my captain obviously is Marinov as well. I'm just doing the VC just on her, and then I'll assume I'll be taking it. And then trades, I'll be going Garner down to Hatchard, Goody up to Goldsworthy, and then Tripodi sideways to Caitlin Gould. At least if any sort of unforeseen changes with teams on Thursday and that happen, or even tomorrow, I've got that trade up my sleeve. I can still reverse that and do something else. But that's what I'm doing there. But thank you everyone that tuned in, especially those that tuned in live and sent through their questions and players to be discussed. Very much appreciate those people that sent in super chats as well. Thank you very much, Liam, once again for jumping on. Always fantastic to have a chat with you. Where can the people find you across the socials?
You can find me on Twitter at Liam AFLW Fantasy.
Beautiful. Make sure, and if you haven't, make sure you be checking out the Free Kick official AFLW Fantasy podcast as well. Jaiden, mate, where can the people find you?
Yeah, Twitter as well, at Jaiden_Poposky. I posted the most traded in and out over there this afternoon. So you can have a look at that, and link to the website is in my bio.
Yeah, beautiful. Make sure you definitely check it out as well. And you can find me at BalesDT. You can find Mitch at Ball Boys Fantasy, and you can find us at AFL Fantasy Fans as well. In terms of our round preview, we won't be doing a live one on Sunday. We'll be back to doing our normal Monday pre-recorded show, so we should have Mitch back on, which will be good. Because he is bringing in Marinov this week. We know that he's bringing in a couple of rookies, so he's finally biting the bullet and bringing in Ebony Marinov as well. And just to before we let everyone go, matchups in the Content Creators Cup this week. I'm up against Mel from Free Kick. JS from Sliding Doors is up against Will from Free Kick. Jono from Free Kick's up against Liam. So obviously a bit of a in-house battle of the podcast there. Mitch is up against Jaiden. It's another battle inside the podcast there. Sorry, Jaiden. I'm fingers crossed that Mitch gets the job done so I can get my top spot back. But I am up against Mel, who's the informed coach of the league, who went from essentially bottom. Now she's third and could definitely go above me this week. And then Eloise is up against Jackson from Sliding Doors as well. So we'll chat through them on Monday in our podcast. But thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Good luck this week. Hopefully all your players score well and your captain goes massive. And we'll chat to you guys on later in the week. So thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.